Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for your feedback. We really appreciate it very much. This will only help us help you for the future. So, now for what you're probably most, anticipating. Let's talk about week 2. I know most of you probably do not know what that song is, but that song was my absolute jam in middle school. So yeah, that's dating myself a little bit. Week 2, it's all about stars. And to help us with what we should expect to see this week, I'm going to turn it over to AMS2 Network's best weatherman, Mr. Cates, for today's forecast. Thank you so much, Mr. Cates. Welcome to this week's forecast with me, your local weatherman, Mr. Cates. So, as you can see, today's overall forecast looks to be for a lot of fun. So we will start today early on with a Padlet, where we will be building a class playlist. Then we'll move on to a short little reading about Supernova 1054, so we can take a look at how long we have known about the life of stars. Next, we'll move on to a Nearpod activity, where we'll be looking at the life of stars, and kind of how they start and how they end their life cycle. It is very, very, very interesting stuff, and stuff that I'm sure all of you will love so dearly. Next, we will move on to Gizmos. So we'll be doing two things. One, we'll be making sure we're signing up for Gizmo, because this tool is really, really cool, and it really is helpful with understanding the HR diagram, which we will go into a little bit later. Finally, we will finish with just a little summative assessment where we will be comparing our own sun with another star called Zeta Eridani, and in that you will compare its temperature, its luminosity, and its life cycle. Very fun stuff looking ahead. Let's take a closer look at what these things will look like. So again, we will be starting with a Padlet where we will be making our own playlist. So as you will see, on the actual Padlet itself, that Mr. Cates has already posted his favorite 3 songs for the playlist. It's up to all of you to fill the rest of the playlist out with your favorite songs, the clean version, of course, because this is school. But together, we will build an awesome playlist that we will bump during any live hours, and hopefully when we eventually are back in person. Next, we have just this brief little reading about Supernova 1054, which will be accompanied with just a few little questions and a nice little short video to show you exactly what would that supernova look like. Very interesting stuff. Really cool. It shows that we've been learning about this stuff for so long, and yet we still have so much to learn. Next, we will move on to a Nearpod. This Nearpod is at your own pace. It'll go over the life cycle of a star. It has some really cool videos. It has some really cool games on it to help you remember some of this stuff. And overall, it's a really great way to learn about such an important thing for our universe, the life cycle of stars. Your second to last activity will be this Gizmos simulation, where you will be learning about the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. This is a diagram that helps to plot stars based on brightness and temperature. So you will be going through a couple different exercises, but kind of trying to organize stars by their different properties. And in it, you'll learn kind of how us scientists organize stars. And together, that combined with the life cycle of a star will lead you to your summative assessment, where you will be comparing the sun with Zeta Eridani, and using their Hertzsprung-Russell diagram and your knowledge of the life cycle of a star to compare these two and show that you are an expert on stars. So that is your weekly forecast with me, Mr. Cates. Finally, I'll send it back to you, Mr. Cates, for your final words. Thank you so much, Mr. Cates, for that ravishing forecast for today's assignments. It looks like today is going to be sunny with a side of science. So, moving on. What we'd like to do now is take the time to hear from you, our viewers, once again. What questions do you have about today's assignments so far? What we're going to ask you to do is once again, write in the Collaborate board and put down any questions that you may have on today's procedures, on today's topics, anything like that that I can help you answer right now.